have our next speaker, Veronica.
Good afternoon, ladies. Good afternoon again. As you've heard, my name is Veronica Kararwa. Professionally, I'm a clinical nurse specialist working with children and adolescents' mental health. I'm also a trained dialectical behavior therapist. And for those who don't know what that is, it is just a therapy that helps people with borderline personality disorder. First of all is to thank Mukami for holding this. You all look so beautiful and very colorful. And one of the things that I admire when she came here to say, thank you, it's good to clap for yourself. One of the things I want to applaud Mukami is because she's talking about empowering ourselves, empowering others. But it is so good when we see women empowering themselves. They say, there's a saying that says that if you educate or empower a girl, you actually educate and empower a whole generation. So you can imagine all of you here as women being empowered, how many generations you can empower. But how can we do that? I think we have to start by ourselves. Because there is somebody called John Rohn who said, you cannot do better unless you become better. And for things to change, you have to change. So here's the question. What do you want to change? It starts with you. It starts with me as an individual. And as we start with you as an individual, the idea is also to grow within. The idea is also to be confident within yourself, to know who you are, as Mukami was saying here. To know what you are, who you are, and sometimes it's also good to know where are you, and why are you here? Why are you in this planet? What do you want to do? What kind of difference do you want to make? And the most other question you have to ask yourself is, where are you going? Because at the end of the day is, did we just come here to pass by and not leave a mark? So I think it's also very important for us to think about the kind of legacy, the kind of difference we want to make. And we can all make a difference. It doesn't matter how small it is. I talk that because as I stand here today with you, I could never do this a few years ago. I have developed myself, but I had to develop through the soil of brokenness. For those who know Kevin Kararwa Leukimia Trust, it was started on a mist of pain. I lost my son. He was only 24 years old. And I can tell you, it was so difficult for me. I went through depression. I didn't know what to feel. I didn't know what to do. You can imagine as a mother, a single mother of 2 boys. One is in hospital and one is at home. I spent the whole night in hospital and I have to go back and look for the other one. It was so difficult. If there was a time I actually needed a husband, that was the time. Unfortunately, he couldn't come from heaven and I had to bear it on my own. But as they say, I went through depression. And I went to the GP. And the first thing he told me that I needed antidepressants. Antidepressants? I thought, what would they do to me? Because ladies, at that point, at that instance, I didn't need antidepressants. I'm in mental health. I'm a professional. I'm the one who advises the psychiatrist to maybe prescribe antidepressants. So I know they are antidepressants. I know their side effects. And as a professional also, I was aware of the symptoms of the depression, but I couldn't stop them. But what I needed at that point, what I wanted, was my son to get better. Was my son to come back. But the reality was, things were not getting better. And as you know, we lost him at 2014. He needed a stem cell donor. He couldn't find one because there are very few black people in the stem cell registry. We didn't know that. It is something we had to know through the pain, through our pain. You know, I always thought that stuff happens to others. I always thought, I knew about leukemia, and I knew what it was. But I always thought that it happened to others. You know, when you hear things on the radio and on TV, even when things are happening out there, you always think, oh, but wait till it happens to you. And I thank God, and I will never wish anybody to go what I went through. So Kevin Kararwa Leukemia Trust, as I said, was formed through that mist. One of the things I'm very proud of is we are saving lives, because our motto is to save lives. We are making a difference. Last year only, 5 people donated. And for 5 people to donate, they saved 5 lives. And for that, thank you. And for that, I can tell you, I know that my son didn't die in vain. If I can save 1 life, for a family that is so desperate, like I was desperate, then that, to me, it means everything. But the most important thing is also who I became through my pain. I went through inner questioning. What is life all about? Why am I here? Why would you, God, do such kind of a thing? Why would you take my 24-year-old when he's on his prime? And as I was going through that, I had to go inside of myself, and I had to grow from within. And for this book to be born, it's because I asked myself questions. Remember, I was always on the other side of the table. But at this point, when I went to the GP, I was on the other side of the table. He told me I needed antidepressants and a therapist. And I went home, as I said, and I thought about all that. And my question was, what would I tell my client if they came to me with the same problem that I have? And as a DBT therapist, there is one skill that I actually loved, and that is radical acceptance. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put myself in the shoes of my client and actually do what I tell them to do. Acceptance. So, what is acceptance? Before I tell you about acceptance, I'll tell you what we normally do. When we have stuff, when we lose our loved ones, when your husband leaves you, when maybe you also find your child is taking drugs, what do? When your friend betrays you, what do? Some of the things we do, we hide our heads on the facade and we live in denial. Everybody can see we're struggling. We don't talk about it. We pretend. We put a facade. The other thing we do, we run away from our issues, and not literally. We distract ourselves with things that are not good for our health. For example, we take alcohol, or we also do some other things that really are detrimental. The other thing sometimes we do is we beat our chests. It can't happen to me. Have you ever seen women who their husband has run away with another woman? This can't happen. She can't do that. He has gone. And the other thing, sometimes also we grow in bitterness, anger, and we are hurting. And they say hurting people hurt other people. So what are we supposed to do? Acceptance is a very great skill. Acceptance is about accepting the reality in the present moment without judgment and without wanting to change anything. Can I repeat that? Acceptance is accepting the reality as it is in the present moment without wanting to change it. Because all we do, the things I have said that we do, we add suffering into our pain. Pain is part of life, but suffering is an option. We suffer because we don't want to accept the reality. And acceptance is akin, I don't know whether you heard about the serenity prayer. God, help me to accept the things I cannot change. Yeah? Courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. Most of the time we don't know we don't have the wisdom. We're struggling to change things that we cannot change. And as we struggle, we suffer and we come across with a lot of issues, even physical health problems. So for me, I took that acceptance, I used it as a concept. And in this concept, I came up with a program. And in this program, I don't know whether anybody in this room has bought my book and read it. Anybody? It's called Discover Your True Self, the Acceptance Experience. So all what I say is that try to accept, to use the skill acceptance even when the bus leaves you. You can use this skill anywhere, so long as you are accepting the reality. You know, in our Kikuyu language, we say, mai maiteka, maji yakimwagika, aizoleki. But we hardly ever use these skills because we have our own things that we want. We want to control stuff. We want to control outcomes. But if you pull away from controlling outcomes and look at the reality, because remember, as human beings, we have limitations. I'm not telling you that there are things you can change, because we say, when I'm doing therapy, I tell people there are 3 things when you have a problem. You either accept it, change it, or you live miserably. 3 things. Yeah? And when you learn those things, life becomes easier and you become more a happier person, even happy to live with other people. Do you agree with me? Yes. So with this book, I have written about the acceptance. I have made it, as I said, I have used the concept to make the 10 steps that you can use, 1 up to 10, and it starts with accepting yourself. The other one is about discovering your core values. And the other one is about your conduct and behavior and how you can change your behavior, your perception about stuff, emotional intelligence, plus about the power of thought. And then the others is about implementing those skills so that you can become a new person. You can grow internally and become a happier person. And when you realize who you are, why you're here, then the more you'll be pushed towards finding your why so that you can live a difference or you can make a difference in this world. If you need a copy of book, I have a few that you can be able to sell. What I sell them at Amazon is £15, but for me, I sell at 20 because I always encourage people to give £5 extra for Kevin Kararwa Leukemia Trust. So thank you so much.